Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel. I don't know if we're starting earlier, we're starting late. We're late, so we'll catch up. We like to be on time. The panel is called, Is the Infrastructure Ready for the Advanced Air Mobility? If you look at the entire ecosystem of air mobility, advanced air mobility, you hear a lot of talk about manufacturers, but without infrastructure, we're not going to have any services. So we're in catch-22 situation. Which one comes first? You know, the chicken or the egg? Lately, they figured out it's the egg. Don't ask me why. Here with me, I have four amazing people that I have had the pleasure to actually meet before, and in alphabetical order by first name. So don't kill me. We'll start with Alberto Barreiro. It's the head of networks and business plan at Ferrovial Airports. And he's currently in charge of business planning for networks of Vertiports that Ferrovial plans to design, build, and operate across the US, the UK, and Europe. Gracias. We continue with ANNE-PASCALE GUEDON. She has 30 years of international experience in over 30 countries in business development, finance industry, and aerospace. She is now with Blade UAM when she is in charge of commercial and marketing assets as well as management of 3 leading helicopter operators in the south of France and Monaco. And she's going to be involved in leading this transition from helicopters to electric vehicles. You guys call them EVA, right?
Yeah,
electric
EVA,
vehicle.
absolutely.
Next, my friend Carlos Poveda, entrepreneur, awesome guy, dressed really well, CEO and the founder of the UMILES Group, a Spanish company with international presence. He's a pilot, flight instructor, operational safety expert, and a person with a passion for flying and leading this group into a new vision for transforming the rules of the game on the air and on the ground. And last but not least, Miguel Borgia Cano, the manager for Defense and Citizen Security area at Telefonica Seguridad Engineering. He has proven experience in international projects linked to security and defense. And for more than 2 years, he has been leading the Telefonica strategic product line in the drone ecosystem. So the way that we're going to do it, you don't want to hear from me, so I'm just going to ask questions. And the panel is going to go through and answer the questions. And then if we have time, because we're running a little late, I would like to leave a little bit of time for you guys to ask questions. So let's start with this, and you guys fight it out. Who goes first? It's going to be, what do you think are the most critical parts of the AAM infrastructures and why?
Can I start?
Start.
Okay, from UMILES, thank you so much, Sergio. Nice to meet you, all of you. UMILES next, we believe that the customers want customized solutions. People want customized solutions. For it's not just about only the flight component, okay? So it's equally important the trip from the home or the start location to the vertiport, likewise the vertiport to the end destination. So it's important to take into account to start thinking about create a multimodal solution that is where something that you might next work. And you can't go to this infrastructure with your own cars because it's not going to be easy in terms of board as happened today, right? So must be fast infrastructure without parking. Naturally, of course, the charging technology is going to be critical too. Also, we believe that the first step is going to be touristic and probably executive trips come before mass transport, right? And of course, safety and security must be into account because we are talking about aircraft and this is an important thing as well.
Okay. Yes, from Blade, you know, which is really experience, customer experience. The greatest added value, you know, of the helicopters industry is to be able to land almost everywhere. You don't need, you know, official airports to land, you know, in many circumstances. So from a customer experience, the most important for these vertiports is location, location, location. When, you know, we just acquired the commercial activities of 3 companies south of France. I give you an example. In Saint-Tropez, we have an official heliport, but the official heliport is 30 minutes away by car from the beaches where everybody wants to go. So people, if they pay a lot of money to go to Saint-Tropez from Nice by helicopter, they want to be, 5 minutes away from the beaches. This is what we call, the change of routes. We need to minimize the change of routes, and so that's why location is so important. We negotiate, for instance, drop zones, what we call drop zones in private properties, because as I say, helicopters can land anywhere. So we negotiate that, but it doesn't work, for vertiports. So we need to have as many vertiports as possible, closest to the final destination of our clients.
Well, from the infrastructure operator, I would mention two key aspects here. One would be sustainability. I mean, this new mobility service is all about sustainability, and it shouldn't stop on the aircraft itself. The infrastructure also has to keep pace and be able to provide a zero carbon emissions or zero emissions operation throughout the whole journey, and that is key for us. This is not a trend in Ferrovial. That's been a target of the company for many years now, and it's top one priority together with safety, of course. And the second one, I guess, it would be flexibility. I mean, we have to provide an infrastructure that is aircraft agnostic, that is able to accommodate as many aircraft as wish to operate in our infrastructure, and not only the ones that are being designed as of today, but also future generations that are already on the design board, and also possible new sources of power like hydrogen. So we have to keep that in mind. We have to plan for that, because our vertiports are going to be there for 30, 40, 50 years, and they cannot be rendered useless in 10 years' time. So it's something quite important for us.
So, and from point of view of the communication provider, I think that the most critical part in the AAM solution is the communication network. So I want to focus in the 5G network, okay, with Telefonica. Well, it's already provided in more than 80% of the national territory, and I think that is critical, because we need to avoid the latency and reduce the delays. Okay? So I think that the most critical part is the communication network.
Perfect. Thank you. So one thing that's interesting is you can see the perspective from all the different point of view in the ecosystem. And I think one trend or one common thing that you see emerging is that while we know more or less what are the challenges for the aircraft, for the infrastructure is a lot more complex. So now that we're talking about challenges, let's ask this other question. What is the biggest infrastructure-related challenge for your company? And let's keep rolling from Carlos on.
Okay. So sorry for my repeat. No, I think that the most challenge for us is deploy an entire 5G network in Spain and in other territories. The technology, the communication, enhance day to day. So I want to say tomorrow, for example, welcome to the 6G. So Telefonica works to enhance the capabilities in order to get a solid communication related to AAM solutions.
Well, I guess that for us would be location. I mean, as you guys mentioned, this is all about reducing the overall trip time. So this business model is predicated on reducing the trip time when competing with other modes of transport, and that makes you get as close as possible to your potential demand. And we have quite a very sophisticated demand model based on mobility data from cell phone operators, and that basically confirms that we need to locate most of our vertiports on urban areas, sometimes on very highly and densely populated urban areas in which land is a scarcity. You don't have much available land. So that's the main challenge. We need to find those locations. We need to adapt the layout of our vertiports to those locations. We need to make sure that we are able to cope with the expected demand in such a constrained space. And then we have to make sure that those locations are able to receive aircraft. So approach paths, departing paths is also a tricky thing when you're talking about an urban environment. But the overarching challenge here for us is timeline. I mean, all the technical issues can be solved. It will take more or less. I mean, this is not that special in terms of the technical challenges. The thing is that we want to do it in 2-3 years' time. That's quite a challenge. And that's pressure that we are putting on ourselves, and we are happy to do that, but that's going to make other things that maybe doesn't seem so complicated to become a real challenge because we have to do it really fast.
Yes, of course, from a challenge point of view, I fully concur with you regarding the location that I mentioned before and the absolute necessity to find real estate which is fitted. All the more as from, again, a customer experience point of view, we are agnostic. So we do believe, that we will develop a portfolio equipment of EVTOLs, EVA, I don't know, if Vertiports is there going to be one size fits all. So it will require some more real estate, in order to adapt everybody. And there is also a notion of public affairs, because you need to have the authorities, the authorizations from the regulatory bodies. And it's a lot of convincing on a lot of procedures, especially for environmental reasons, because as you know, airports are not welcome, in cities. And if you want to have a location, so you have to make sure, that it is part, of the environment. So I think it's these are the two most, for me, the two most important challenges that we are going to face with the Vertiports.
Okay, and UMILES next is designing the end-to-end journey. So that's why we believe that the operators will look for multimodal solutions. Actually, Joby Aviation has, they have the same vision, but the ground technology that we are building brings something new to the operators. But the big challenge is create this new end-to-end journey with sustainable and efficient air and ground combination solutions.
Thank you. So now let's shift gears a little bit, right? And let's abandon the challenges and let's talk a little bit about the passenger experience. This is all new form of transportation, right? It's a little bit like 10 years ago, this thing called Uber came out. You didn't know how it was. I remember reading this thing that said, if 40 years ago someone told you that you would get in a stranger's car and go places, you'd be like, no, this is crazy, I'm never gonna do it. But now we do it, we don't care. So when it comes to the Vertiport passenger experience, and I'm giving you just two comparisons, and then you add what you want. Will it be more similar to an airport or a train station? And Carlos, let's start from here to the other side.
Passenger experience, okay, wow. Passenger experience or the customer journey is the core pillar of everything we do at UMILES Next. As you can imagine, is what get us up in the morning to make light-weight aircraft fly more stable than ever, and even in strong wind conditions, right? Regarding experience of a train or airport, we can say that the experience as an airport should be the worst experience in the spectrum, while the Uber experience will be the other side, right? So it must be something similar. We think that creating a multimodal solution, you can have the GIC, the know your customer, so you can do the booking, during the trip from the to the vertiport and during the vertiport, maybe to go to the vertiport to the end destination. So this is our idea. This would be a great experience because it's not to work, right?
Obviously, Blade is really focused on customer experience. So for us, obviously, it's neither of the two. People need to save time, so it has to be transparent to them. So we take care of them, from A to Z until the last mile delivery. And when they are at the heliport or in the future at the Vertiports, it has to be as smooth as possible in terms of the luggage, in terms of the security systems, which have to be much easier than in an airport, because train station is a bit different. And we design nice lounges in order for them, if they have to wait to be in a very nice environment, they have to feel unique and pampered. And we want, we want to develop repeat business and make them feel, at home, and that they are part of the Blade community, and that they can use Blade, all over the world, and with an app, as Hubert, with a really, really strong brand.
Merci.
I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle, but to be honest, closer to a train station. And I believe that the reason for this is, again, time savings. I mean, and we should think of the passenger journey not only once you get into the vertiport, but the overall journey, because this is a comprehensive service. So part of the passenger journey is that you no longer have to drive 30 minutes or take 40-minute trains to get to the airport. You're going to just catch a cab or a Uber, and in 10 minutes you're going to be in your vertiport as you are in your train station. So that's also part of the proposal that this new industry is bringing to the passenger. And within the vertiport, we need to be fast. We need to simplify processes. We need to automate and digitalize everything we do inside the terminal building, because we cannot afford to have our passengers 30-minute waiting or going through security or going through check-in. It has to be fast. Otherwise, there's no way we can compete with the other modes of transport. So at the end of the day, it's everything about saving time. So it's going to be closer to the train station in terms of passenger processing, but probably in terms of look and feel and the purely experience thing, it's going to be quite closer to the airport. So somewhere in the middle, closer to the train.
Yeah, I'm sure that the future moving toward this type of transport, I'm sure. But to be honest, I think that it's a huge challenge, because nowadays there are people who are surprised when to see drone flying, or a drone. So to be honest, I think that we need several years to assimilate this type of infrastructure.
Excellent. And I think one of the key points you want to take with you is this speed of the journey, but at the same time, feel special. So if any one of you has been on a Blade aircraft, I have, it feels different, right? It doesn't feel like coach class, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a train station. And for anyone in the US, I don't think I've ever been in a train station. So now let's shift gears and talk about a question that it's near and dear to my heart. What do you think is needed to make entry into service in 2024 a reality?
So, thank you. I think that the technology is ready. We have the capabilities. So I think that we need a legal background, solid, and we need that allow us develop the solution related to the legislation, no? So for the part of the companies, I think that we have the need to collaborate and advance step by step.
Well, I won't mention aerospace because there's been discussed a lot here, and I'm not an expert on that, but of course it's one of the key things that we need. But thinking in the ground infrastructure, I think we need three things, I guess. One is certification. The second one would be regulation, and the third one, public acceptance. I mean, certification because we need the aircraft to be able to fly, and the operators to be able to fly that aircraft. Otherwise, there's no business here. Regulation, and I'm not only thinking about EASAs, ICAOs, all that stuff. We also need to bring on board local and state authorities, because they are ultimately they're responsible for letting us put in a vertiport where we want to put it, and all the implications that it has on the urban development and urban planning, and of course public acceptance. I mean, I think it's been mentioned in the previous panel. We need to make sure that our future passengers are not afraid of this new service. And I have to say that at some point in time we need to start or stop talking about air taxis, because you're not going to wave your hand and one of these vehicles is going to come where you are and pick you to other place. You're going to have to go to a vertiport. It's going to be heavily regulated. It's going to be as safe as commercial aviation. No problem with calling it air taxis, of course, but it's not a taxi. I mean, it's a completely different business, and there are people who really believe that it's going to be like a taxi, and that could be a problem if they think that it's going to fly over their heads all of the time, which is not going to happen, at least in the early stages of the industry.
Again, from a customer point of view, experience point of view, I think now we have a pragmatic solution. Is that we have both these commercial activities of these three operators in the south of France, you know, traditional helicopters, and we have heliports. And today, these heliports, some of them are going to convert into vertiports, or we are going to expand it into vertiports. And we have this fantastic theater of test experiments, which is the line Nice-Monaco. I don't know, you know, if somebody has used it, so you must know, you know, how effective it is. So it's basically 7 minutes and 36 seconds. So it's perfect for you guys, you know, to experiment. So I encourage you to come and see me, you know, if you want to test it, because we can simulate a vertiport on the right side, and you can simulate, you know, the flight. So because this is all going together, and I think for me, if you want to see, you know, the reality, you have to make tests. So, and, you know, and we are there, it's perfect location.
Okay. I agree with Miguel in terms of we have technology enough to start flying actually now. Actually, we have there in UMILES the concept integrity, which is ready to fly. So if someone want to try, it's only 10,000 euros to come from the stand to the main center. No, I'm kidding, but we are ready in technology terms. Of course, it's important as well, the public acceptance as well. But I think that it's easy for me to say that the main problem is regulation and certification. So we should work together. All the actors of the new sector need to work together to make the life easier to the authorities as FAA or EASA in terms of get a positive result as soon as possible.
Thank you. And I think if you listen to what they're saying, and I think especially what you say, Alberto, every time I hear air taxi, what I have found out is that when you talk to people, as soon as they see one of these vehicles, and I would ask you by show of hands, who has actually seen in real life an eVTOL, full scale, everyone tells me, wow, they're big. And they don't understand that this is an airplane. It's not a taxi, because, I mean, if you think a taxi, think about a Mercedes C-Class here in Europe, and then you see one of these things, and you're like, oh my God, it's big as a bus, or bigger, because it's got wings. And I think that that's an important point. This is not the Jetson, it's an airplane. So now, following with that, and I have to ask, because this is one of the fun questions, that when they ask me, I completely avoid to answer. Do you think 2024 it's going to happen?
Answer.
Whoever wants to go first.
I think in 2024 the 5G network is deployed completely, no? But it's complex. It's complex thing, no? 2 years. So just I don't know.
I mean, the question is where.
No. The question is it going to happen?
We will adapt.
Yeah.
I think so.
We will adapt. You know, we are already, you know, flying with the traditional helicopters, so we just, you know, move to. It depends. You know, we're open. It doesn't matter for us.
I'm really convinced that it's going to happen, so I have no answer to your question, because my answer to your question is there's no way this is not going to happen. The question could be when or how fast, but it's definitely going to happen.
Excellent. So now, before I turn it on to the public, and I think because we have a little bit of time, and I just came up with this question. So you see when it comes to Vertiport that there is these companies that are pushing toward branded vertiports because it looks good. And yet, if I talk to any one of you, it's kind of like, no, you don't want branded vertiports. So give me a little bit of an idea of this fight that probably many of you are living with of, well, we want our own branded vertiport as opposed to an agnostic vertiports
So you mean branded by the OEMs or the operators?
by the OEMs.
To be honest, we are not finding that resistance with the operators that we are, or potential operators and some of the OEMs that we are talking to. I'm not talking about their communications strategy, that's up to them, but the deeper they get into the business, what we feel is that they realize that there's no way this could work with exclusive use of your own vertical. The economies of scale, the synergies of having a distributed network of vertiports across an area, you cannot own that. I mean, it's too expensive for you to own that. So what I'm seeing is going the other way around. I mean, they are realizing that there's an advantage of sharing the infrastructure.
Carlos?
Branded, I don't know.
There's probably, I know who want to work has OEM, I don't know. But probably, at least the first infrastructure needs to be made by a combination of OEM, maybe operators, and maybe the infrastructure builders as well, because yeah, I think that the sum of all the whole experience is going to has a good results, you know, at least in the first years.
Excellent. And Pascal?
From a customer experience point of view, the vertiports are part of the experience. So, you know, as we brand, you know, the helicopters, we brand the counters, so we would brand, you know, the vertiports as well.
From customer, I need it. No, I need it because I suppose that everybody travel a lot. No, but I think that the investment is very, very large, and the time of deploy from this infrastructure is large too. So I think that the investment it's real. No? Next year, the next, I don't know, but I think that it's a reality.
And again, I mean, I think you guys made an interesting point, right? I mean, we cannot build vertiport for everyone, but at the same time, airlines are able to brand in a facility that's shared. So there might be ways, and again, whoever is there first, it's probably going to influence what the others want to do. So, you don't want to hear from me, I want to hear from you guys. If you have any question, and please have questions because it's fun to have questions. We have a microphone, so just raise your hand, don't be shy. The panelists want to hear from you, so please.
Okay.
Don't be shy. Okay, if no one wants to ask a question, I'll ask one more question, and then my panelists have a lot of things to do, so we let them go. So, if you look from what I call the popular science, the normal person, not us that are knee deep in the industry, you know, you can ask us, would you fly one? Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, why am I working here, right? But when it comes to you think the general public in general. So we see a lot talk about the OEMs, and they're quoted on the stock exchange, and the OEMs are flying, and here and there. But we don't read a lot about infrastructure. And a little bit it's because you guys are more conservative, probably, and the other one, it's because there is not been a lot. So do you think there is enough attention paid by the industry wide? And when I mean industry, I mean all of the different pieces. Your charging guys and your weather guys and the authorities and everything. The cities, is there enough attention from all of them on the infrastructure? From
our experience, probably there wasn't that much of attention 1 year and a half ago, maybe. But in those areas in which we are working and we've made more progress, like in the US, it's gaining quite a lot of traction. I mean, even the general public, that's already not, I wouldn't say understand completely what this business is about, but at least they've heard about it. They've seen it on the TV from time to time. To be honest, that doesn't happen here in Spain. I mean, I talk to my friends what I do, and the first thing that they say to me is that real? Is that going to happen? It depends on the level of information that every region has about the business, and that's on us. I mean, to educate the community, to introduce them to this new mobility service.
And Pascal?
Regarding the Vertiports, I'm surprised because at the beginning, you know, there were only OEMs, so they had to learn somewhere, and now it's expanding a lot. So you have many companies like you were the pioneers, you know, expanding, either, you know, coming from the infra business or coming from nowhere business. But is it a real estate or is it an airport business? You know, it's a mixed. So I tend to agree with you. At the beginning, there was not so much attention about it because people had the impression, you know, that they would land in a garden and everything would be fine. But I think with the battery issue, we didn't touch that, but the battery issue is such a huge issue that you have to land somewhere where you can recharge, and this would be really the challenge of the OEMs. And so the Vertiports give, I would say, you know, to some extent, less freedom, you know, to the eVTOLs, which is a bit paradoxal because it's supposed to be the contrary. Having more freedom, you know, having more passengers, you know, and having, you know, lots, you know, like in the fifth element, everywhere, you know, in the sky. But I think, you know, thanks to you guys, you know, we come back to reality, you know, about what an eVTOL needs in order, you know, to function.
Miguel?
It's difficult to answer the question because, in my personal opinion, I think that each stakeholder have different interests, and I think that it's very, very necessary joint synergies between them and in order to advance, no, faster.
Thank you. Carlos?
Okay, I think that all the stakeholders are working fast. Unfortunately, it's difficult especially in the first moment that a new sector emerged, that all are aligned in the same targets, you know. But of course, as an OEM, or one of the biggest issues for us is the batteries, you know. But in the other hand, the general acceptance. But in the other hand, if I have an aircraft, certificate aircraft, and I have no infrastructure, it's going to be really hard. But if I don't have the interest of the operator, it's hard as well. So, but I think that all the stakeholders are working fast. I think it's an attractive sector. And I think as the next year probably is going to start joining, you know, all the industry and all the targets is going to be aligned. And of course, it's something that is not going to happen tomorrow. And it isn't necessary to happen tomorrow. It's only after tomorrow, so we have time enough.
Excellent. Anyone has changed their mind, wants to ask a question? No? Well, I invite you to spend some time with the panel. If you're shy to talk about right now in public, talk to them. Everyone, the beauty is we're finally starting to realize in this industry that there is so many pieces. And I know everyone likes the airplanes because they look cool, but the airplanes without the rest, it's kind of useless. You remember when we had the first electric car, you were the coolest guy on the block, and then good luck trying to get it charged. Thank you to the entire panel. Really appreciate. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And they will be here probably. They got 10 minutes. So please come and join us and say hi. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.